What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to Philly with John Marks, PHLY. We're live on a Monday morning. Monday. We're in a heat wave. Excellent weekend. Excellent weekend as we welcome everybody, all of our 8 a.m.ers, our live chatters who join us every morning at 8 a.m. Good morning to everybody. Michael, K-Red, our usuals. Good morning, everybody listening on audio podcast. Remember, you can always, if you don't get a chance to watch live on YouTube, or maybe you're watching live on Samsung or Xfinity Plus or all of our fast channels, you can always listen to the audio version of the show. Just wherever you get your podcast, search Philly with John Marks. Bang! You can listen to it. Listen to it in the car driving into work. We are live on a Monday morning. The finals last night, Game 7. We'll get to that coming up. Keith Pompey, 25 minutes from now or so, 8:25 if you're watching live, 25 minutes into the show. Philadelphia Inquirer, he will join us, the latest on the 76ers as we count down the days to the draft, what happened over the weekend, what is most likely to happen when the third overall pick for the Sixers comes up. Is it Ace Bailey? Is it VJ Edgecombe? Is it somebody else? Is it a trade scenario? We'll talk about that here in the first segment of the program. That's coming up 10, 15 minutes from now. But, sometimes life is just good, right? And right now, the kids are out of school. The weather's hot. I'm going to the pool later today. The corn over the weekend, I got some really good corn on the cob. It was fresh. I knew it. And it was so sweet. Potato salad, chicken, cookouts down the shore in a couple weeks. And the Phils just won 2 of 3 over the New York Mets. And it's not one of these, and NHL draft too. There you go. Life's good. It wasn't one of these weekend series where the Mets just are playing absolutely miserable and the Phillies win. And now we're feeling extra great about ourselves. The Mets, they suck. We're going to win the World Series. No, it's not like that at all. At least for me. They win 2 of 3. It was an impressive series win. You know that when it's all said and done at the end of September, early October, it's probably going to be the Phillies and the Mets, and you might be facing them again in the playoffs. But it's coming down to these two teams, and they're two, I would say, evenly matched teams. Phillies have a better rotation. The Mets probably have the better bullpen, but there's a lot of baseball to be played, man. It's not even July 1st, but it was a really, really good weekend of baseball. Last night, Jesus Luzardo, excellent. Phillies scored runs in bunches Friday and Saturday. That game was 2-2 on Friday night, and my keister was a little bit tight, and then they exploded. Last night, you're a 0-0 game, and they put up a 5 spot, and Kyle Schwarber. It was crazy. I was thinking, I'm like, you know what? Lefty on lefty. David Peterson. We know Schwarber, his splits against left-handers are crazy. And it's I got to get to the BetParx app, and I got to look and see what the odds are for him to hit a home run in this at bat. Well, I didn't do it, and sure as anything, he goes deep, hits the home run. And Mundo Sosa gets on base and gets picked off. Damn you, Sosa. And what do you know? The same inning, bam, or next inning, bam, he comes up and he hits a home run. Opposite field power into the bullpen. It's hold on a second. What is going on here? I know Mundo Sosa has some pop, but damn, he really took that for a ride the other way. And Phillies just rolled. It was pretty much over after that. Luzardo looked very good. Saturday, Mick Abel looked like a young pitcher developing in the majors. No real reason to be concerned, but it is notable that from his first start and starts until right now, he's went backwards a little bit. But I want to see him to continue to develop, because I've liked what I've seen so far, and he doesn't seem overwhelmed. That was a big series against the Mets. Mets got to him a little bit. Mets are a good team, but not a crazy you got to send him back down to AAA. But you do have Andrew Painter that's at AAA, and if he progresses and Painter goes, or if Abel goes back, you could see Painter in the big leagues. And then Friday night it was they got the runs they needed. The bullpen was able to hang on. So all in all, a really, really positive positive series for the Phillies. So now they're in first place in the NL East. They got the Mets by a game. As you have now, they will hit the road, Jack, and don't come back no more. Off day today in Houston. And then later this weekend, you have the Atlanta Braves at Atlanta. And the Padres come into town. So Phils are playing good baseball right now. Bryce Harper is, who knows when he's going to be back. I'm not really worried about it. They've settled nicely now into a groove where they're starting to play good baseball, and there's a little bit of pep in their step right now. So I thought it was a great weekend of baseball for sure. And the Mets are a good team. They are. So it really, think about it. When the Phillies faced the Mets earlier this season, the Phillies kind of went up to New York, and they weren't confident, and I didn't feel confident when the series started, and they went up there and they looked like a team that knew they were going to get beat, and it felt different this time. Last year in the playoffs, I know I tried to have confidence, and I wasn't going to let everybody tell me the Phils are in trouble and the Mets are playing well and whatever. You felt it, I felt it, but I wasn't laying down and saying, no, oh crap, the Mets are going to beat the Phillies. Yeah, but I wasn't surprised at the outcome right there. It's all about how this team is playing come September and October. And we're not going to know that until we get there. But the Phillies are obviously going to have to make some moves in the bullpen with at least one arm, maybe even two arms, to solidify all that jazz. So Andrew Painter, and I want to say this for the final segment of the show, but it sure looked like earlier remember at the beginning of the season, it was, they're talking about June, July. They very much thought Andrew Painter was going to be in this big league rotation come All-Star break, right around there, right? And what's happened is he hasn't pitched great. He hasn't been horrible. He's a young dude in AAA, but he hasn't pitched great. So if he starts rolling, then they're going to have a tough decision to make. Do they put him in the bullpen? I don't think they're going to bring him up and put him in the bullpen in September, but things change, man. They really do. And if this team is desperate for a reliever, for a high-end reliever with real stuff, maybe he does end up in the bullpen. But right now, they've went from, July to, hey, we'll see, to, hey, he's got to earn a promotion up to the big club. That's what happens when you have a ton of starting pitching that, for the most part, is all performing well. You don't have to bring them up. If this was, 2 or 3 years ago where you needed a starter, he'd probably already be pitching in the big leagues and developing in the big leagues. So let's bring him. Tyler Zulli is home today, and he's got the little man. And by the way, this was not planned. You can see I have the shirt. I got this for Father's Day from my wife, and it's I guess it's contraband, but it's a Phillies dad shirt. This is not officially licensed, by the way. I don't know where it came from.
It is 100% contraband. There's no doubt about it. There's no way that's officially licensed. I'm hanging out with the little guy today, so
there he is. What's up, dude?
So my wife went on a work. So she's in healthcare, so they have to take continuing education courses. They have to go, where the courses are. So she was away for the weekend, and she texted me yesterday and said, hey, flight got delayed. 7:40 flight at night got delayed. Never a good thing. 9:40. Texted me again. 10:40. Texted me again. Canceled. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So scrambling a little bit. I called my mom. I'm like, hey, might bring him over tomorrow. But I was like, I don't know if it just with timing and everything, like with his first nap, you could see he's fussing already. I'm like, I'm just going to leave him here. And so now I have a baby who's pretty much ready for a nap. And I just turned Miss Rachel off, so he's mad at me. And so here we are.
And a dog and a cat and everything else.
It's a madhouse in my apartment right now.
Listen, welcome to my life.
Welcome to parenthood, I guess.
Welcome. As I am home today, not because I requested to be home, but yes, there are it's one of the good things if you're able to work from home, that when things happen with your family, as most of us know out there that have a family, they do often. Yeah, we'll work it out. As far as the plane being delayed, so the last time I was in Clearwater, we had a connecting flight in Atlanta. And the connecting flight, because they ended up booking, this is when I worked on the radio, they ended up booking the trip late. So we got, like, we always fly coach, don't get me wrong, but
Sure.
we didn't get, like, I had to sit in the middle of going down. I had to sit like middle seat. And I do not like sitting in the middle seat. I like to sleep on a plane. I like to be already asleep by the time the plane takes off in the window. So they were like, we're going to get you first class from Atlanta to Philly, which is like not, it's not, it's like an hour and a half or whatever the flight is, but it was like a nice gesture to where they're like, hey, sorry, we'll get you first class in Atlanta. So we had to fly Clearwater to Atlanta and jump on a Delta flight and go to Philly. Clearwater, delayed. Now you realize your connecting flight's in jeopardy. And if you miss the connecting flight, you're not getting out of Atlanta that night.
No.
So we are landing and we can see the plane on the tarmac. And it's like, let us off. So we're the people that are like, excuse me, can you please let us go? We're trying to catch our flight.
Right.
And I don't mind saying that, but Ike doesn't mind saying that and just moving through people. He's like, gotta go. So we get off the plane. We make it to the gate. Doors shut. We cannot get on. So long story short, I spent the night sleeping on one of the couches in the Atlanta airport because it was already like 11 o'clock and I wasn't going to because legally they have to give you a hotel. Like your wife probably got a hotel last night or she didn't, but legally they're supposed to give you a hotel room.
She ended up being able to stay with a friend who wasn't too far from the airport, which was nice. But yeah, she this is not the first time this has happened to her. And this is why I am the type of person, I'm not a morning person by nature. But which is kind of funny considering we do a morning show. But if I can get the 5:30 in the morning flight, the 6 a.m. flight, I'm gone. Yeah. I'm gone because they usually get off the ground pretty without any issues. And B, even if I do get delayed, I get delayed till 10 a.m., 11 a.m. So if I can get the 5:30 or 6 a.m. flight, I am gone.
Yep. Yeah. So next morning we get one of the earlier flights, and they got to fit you on that now. No first class, by the way. So now I'm flying like a peasant. So I didn't even get the first class treatment like I thought I was going to get.
Right.
And that flight's delayed like 2 hours. So you know how it is as your spouse is like, you've been gone for 4 or 5 days, however long we were gone. And now you're not back at night. And then it's the next morning. It's like, and then it's like, oh, by the way, I'm probably not going to be home like 3 or 4 o'clock now because the flight's being delayed.
Right.
And so I come home and I get COVID like the next day. I get COVID.
Jeez.
Yeah. It was
what a trip.
Well, what a great trip. Great trip. All right. PHLY Phillies, Tyler Zulian. By the way, this portion of the program brought to you by GLAT Hair Restoration. GLATHairMM.com, 610-980-4000. Text or call them. Corn on the cob, potato salad, little crack of salt on top of it, some chicken thighs, barbecue chicken, and the Phils taking 2 or 3 from the Mets, man.
Sign me up for that weekend every weekend for the rest of my life. Last night, about as complete of a win as you could ask for. Luzardo they needed innings last night because the bullpen had gotten taxed. And I know that they didn't use a lot of their high leverage guys. Kerkering didn't pitch. Strom didn't pitch because they were getting blown out. But you needed outs. And Luzardo got you 20. And honestly, I was kind of surprised that they brought him back out for the 7th, but not entirely just because of the fact that they needed length out of their starter last night. Couldn't have asked for anything more. He was excellent. In and out, up and down. Changeup was great. Slider and sweeper, back foot, to both lefties and righties. Fastball had command. I think he ended up giving up like 3 hits last night. Struck out a good number. And it's a top-heavy Mets lineup right now. I know that they're struggling down towards the bottom of their lineup. They've had a catcher change. Francisco Alvarez, who was awesome last year, got sent down to AAA. Mark Vientos hasn't played. He's been hurt in and out of the lineup, but it's still a potent lineup at the top. You have Lindor, you have Alonso, you have Soto. It's still a good at least 3 or top 3 or 4. And Luzardo was excellent last night, and that's exactly what they needed. They got 2 starts from guys, including Wheeler, Wheeler didn't have his best stuff and grinded through.
Right.
But Luzardo did have his best stuff and showed and pitched into the 7th. It was a really good series win, and and offensively, they were timely. They busted out when they needed to bust out, and then they cruised to 2 wins. And overall, I thought it was a really good series win for them.
Yeah, Luzardo, I think it was the bottom of the 5th. He struck out Soto, and it was a 98 mile-an-hour fastball. So it's like, all right, if he's throwing like that to left-handers and he's got the sweeper and he's got the change up against right-handers, he's going to be really, really good. I mean, really what we've seen from him so far is he easily could be the number 2 pitcher in a postseason series, or he could be the number 3 or 4, right? Like, but when he's good, he's good. When he showed it last night.
When you're having conversations of if you got to an NLDS who doesn't get a start, that's a great problem to have. And like, who would be, because Wheeler gets game 1, right? Assuming you're not a wild card team, which you could be, but assuming you win if you win the division and you stacking your rotation the way you want, who gets game 2? Because Wheeler gets game 1. Right now, I think I'd probably go Ranger. But like, if you said Sanchez, I would be okay with it. If you said Luzardo, I would probably be okay with it. It's a really good problem to have.
Yeah. And the fact that like sometimes your versatility can penalize you, right? So if they look at Ranger, they're like, all right, we know we have confidence in him, but Luzardo's pitching well, Sanchez is pitching well. Right. We know, because what would Chris Sanchez look like out of the bullpen? What would Luzardo look at? Right. You're right. You're right. So, and we seen Suarez come in as a reliever. Like and 3 lefties too. Like, what's going on here?
Right. And that brings up the conversation about the bullpen because of the needing a lefty with no Alvarado. This conversation is not going to go away until they address it, right? If they bring a lefty in at the deadline, whether it be hard throwing Aroldis Chapman or somebody who is more of a lefty number 2, and it could be legitimately anybody. That remains to be seen. But this conversation is not going to go away of like, one of these guys, especially in a DS, is going to pitch out of the bullpen. Who do you think the weapon is, right? Is it Sanchez to just come out and pump for 2 innings and throw 99? Is it Luzardo? Is it Ranger because he's done it before? Like, it's, again, not a bad problem to have, but it's a conversation we're going to have for another 4 months.
Yeah, and you can totally see Ranger coming in like, in the middle of the 5th inning, and he rolls in with 2 runners on base, and he's got no worries about anything. Right,
Trans a guy pitches the 6th and the 7th, and sure.
Yeah, and then you're right. You can see Sanchez pitching the 6th and the 7th, and just throwing heat, going the 100.
Yeah, just darts for 25 pitches,
dropping the change up, striking out right-handed batters. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they figure that out. And you had said with Aroldis Chapman, God, and I know he's got the past with the domestic stuff or whatever. So I don't know if the Phillies are going to want to bring him in. I don't know if I'd want to bring him in, but just that, like, that's what they need. They need a no doubt about it. Like, well, he can be a closer, or he can. No. He is your closer, is what they need. Because even if they get a bona fide closer, I still want them to get another arm.
I think you need 2 relievers regardless. Whether you get 2 high leverage guys, as Rob, as Thompson likes to do, or you get a true bona fide closer and another guy, you need 2 arms. I just think you're 2 arm. You were an arm short before Alvarado got suspended. You're 2 arms short now that Alvarado can't pitch in the postseason. And I've said this before with Alvarado, when he comes back, like, sorry, dude, like, we're running your arm into the ground. In games that don't matter per se, like, you're pitching, and you're pitching a lot. Because we need to keep our bullpen fresh. Like, sorry you made a mistake. Sorry your arm's going to be, dragging towards the end of the year. But like in non-leverage situations, you're going to be throwing a lot because you want to keep Strom fresh. You want to keep Kerkering fresh. You want to keep whomever you bring in, whether it is Chapman or multiple leverage arms. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. But yeah, I think even before Alvarado was suspended, you needed an arm. You probably need 2 now.
Yeah, at least this bullpen. And like, it is interesting because Alvarado comes back and you're trying to win regular season games. Like, who knows where they're going to be? Maybe they're trying to win a division. It's for positioning or whatever, but you can't overly rely on a guy that's not going to be here. I know you want to win games, but then when you go to the postseason, it's like, oh, well, there's no Alvarado anymore. It just sucks, man.
That's the thing. Like, losing him for 80 games is tough. Losing him for the postseason is really tough.
Yeah, you could deal with 80 games. You can make the case that he's going to be fresh when he comes back. Sure. But that's why they should penalize him in the postseason. So you don't do this kind of crap.
Well, I mean, this is the second time we've seen this happen this year. Jerickson Profar got the same thing, and he got popped, a game into the season? Two days into the season. And he'll be back soon. They're at game 77, 78. Like, Profar is going to be eligible to return this week, I think, or next week at the latest. but he also can't play in the postseason. Like, that was a big move for the Braves this year. And it's one of many that has kind of derailed their season.
Yeah, Braves have not had a good season. All right, Keith Pompey is going to join us here in 5 minutes. The latest on the Sixers: Edgecombe, Bailey, trade back. Doesn't it seem like they're the three most logical things that could happen? We'll ask Keith his feel for everything right now. And last night, the Pacers lose. Tyrese Halliburton goes down with like 7 minutes into the game. He's got the calf issue, and then he blows out his Achilles. So you got to, like, it just kills for the kid. Game 7, like, this is the pinnacle. It's the biggest spot in his professional life. And he's trying to play through this calf injury, and he blows out Achilles, and which is going to put his season next year in doubt. And the Pacers just, they kept it close, but there was that period in the third quarter where I think there was like 2 straight three-pointers that OKC hit, and they just had too much. Pacers were a good team. That was a fun series. Oklahoma City Thunder, 76ers fans, are world champions, as the Sixers have been to one Eastern Conference final. One. In 40 years, 41 years, 42 years. Yep. Keith Pompey coming up next. More on all that. That is ahead. Philly with John Marks on PHLY. Back right after this. All right, listen. GLAT hair restoration. I've talked about this. I've talked about this a couple times. When talking about GLAT hair restoration, there's this new trend, right? Like right now, you know what you see? You see a lot of, if you go on social media, you see a lot of everybody's got a spray that you spray on your hair. And it's like, wow, look at his hair. He looks like he's, Fabio with the hair. Or he's got this huge, thick, like, let's be realistic about things, right? If you're looking at something for your hair because you're losing your hair, you're most likely, you'd be happy with keeping your hair where it is, right? Like if you said, hey, listen, if I didn't lose any more hair, I'd be happy, right? So I think you can get your hair back with GLAT hair restoration. That's what hair restoration is all about. That's why it's not just about restoration. It's about innovation. And if you want to stop it dead in its tracks, you want to regrow your hair, you can do that with GLAT hair restoration, right? But like, you're not going to spray or use shampoo and all of a sudden you're going to be like, boom. But right now, one of the other things that you'll see is there are people that talk about going overseas to a country like Turkey to have hair restoration because it's less expensive if you go to a different country. That makes sense, right? Like, why wouldn't it be less expensive? You know what the hell's going on. You could wake up in a bathtub full of ice without your kidney, and you could be like, what the heck just happened, right? You want to go to Turkey to have hair restoration? You got to pay for the plane ticket, got to pay for accommodations. You're dealing with Turkey, right? Don't do that. GLAT hair restoration. If it's something that's important to you, just reach out to them right now. You can text or call them. 610-980-4000. 610-980-4000. GLATHairMM.com. GLAT hairmm.com. All right, let's talk about Empire today. If you're in the market for flooring, whatever it is, go to the experts. That's Empire today. Don't go to the big box store because piles and piles are going to fill the aisles, but you're not going to be able to find anybody to help you with. Or it's Lou in Plumbing. And Lou doesn't really know what he's talking about, and you think you're going to save money. You got to haul it away. You got to find a contractor to put it in. With Empire Today, they are with you from Jump Street. Go to empiretoday.com/PHLY. Why? Well, if you go there and you use code PHLY, $350 discount, but it's more than that. You're dealing with somebody that's an expert in flooring. That's all they do. They're not selling plumbing stuff, and then they come over to help. No. That's all they do. So they come out free in-home estimate. They take precise measurements, and then you're seeing what your flooring is going to look like in your space with your lighting, with the color of your walls, with your furniture. All those things matter. So the showroom is in your home, and that's a good thing. And then you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. Any and all of your questions are answered on the spot, and you get all-inclusive and upfront pricing. No games, no pricing games here, everybody. EmpireToday.com/PHLY. Again, restrictions apply, but $350 discount. Code PHLY. EmpireToday.com/PHLY. Hooah! As the draft is just days away now, and I love it. This is so cool to have a pick that actually, like you lived all season with. Once you hit the spot where you're like, all right, this team's not making the playoffs. I don't want this team to make the playoffs. Let's go in the full tank mode. And I remember when early in the season people were selling the tank mode, and I'm like, you're not tanking right now. And then you get to a point where you're like, all right, they should tank. And the Sixers did a wonderful job of losing as many games as possible. They end up with the third pick, which puts them in this predicament. They have options. They have choices. And we'll talk to Keith Pompey here coming up in a second, Philadelphia Inquirer. And he has been really on top of everything. So we'll talk about Keith. Talk to Keith in a second, Tyler. And you can just pop him up whenever he's there. But there are literally, like, to me, it feels like that there's three legitimate options. Number one, if I'm going from what I think is most likely to happen to the third most likely to happen, one is drafting VJ Edgecombe, the guard from Baylor. It just kind of looking around and seeing what people are saying about him. He came in, he worked out for the Sixers. The mentality of a young player coming in here that is young, but also you expect him to be a big part, or if not, like your future. To be when 5 years from now, 6 years from now, 4 years from now, whatever it is, when we're hoping to see the Sixers deep into the playoffs, making a run like we saw with OKC, it is, it's like you want to see this pick right now be a guy that is going to do it. And let me see, because Keith is here. Keith's going to join us right now. Keith Pompey.
What's up, man?
76ers for the Philadelphia Inquirer. What's up, Keith?
I'm good. What's up with you, man?
So I watched last night. I was absolutely crushed for Tyrese Halliburton. What a game 7, like the pinnacle of your young career. He's went through a lot to get here, and he got that calf injury, and then what looks like a blown out Achilles by all indications. You were hoping TJ and the crew would be able to finish him off, but like they got to a point in the third quarter where they just ran out of steam, and talent's going to take over at that point, and OKC wins it. It's just a damn shame that he didn't get a chance to have that fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was. It was one of those things where when he goes down, you're saying to yourself like, oh, it's over. You felt bad for him because you knew like that the other team was going to go on a run. Because as great as TJ is, and don't get me wrong, he's playing great, but what that did is it made other guys have to play different roles. You just had to hurry up and swap out your game plan. And after a while, you knew that they were going to go down. But, you got to give them credit. I mean, they fought. They tried. It was both teams. I mean, they were great teams, and I love the way both of them were constructed.
Yeah, you like the up and down style. You got guys that can play different positions. They're versatile. And it really is, and I know you wrote about this a week or two ago, where you look at how teams are being built in 2025, and very quickly it's went from, hey, well, we look like Daryl Morey's strategy was let's get that max contract spot so we can get a guy like Paul George. It's not really what they're doing in the NBA right now, and now you're kind of stuck with a Paul George, and they try to pivot out of that. All right, Keith. So let me ask you. I know you had some good stuff over the weekend that you put out there on Inquirer.com. And you should buy the paper, too, as well. The paper's still available, believe it or not. But what do you think the most likely scenario is right now? What are you hearing with the 76ers? It seems like, and you've written this, are they drafting VJ Edgecombe? Are they drafting Ace Bailey? Or are they going to trade back? Or is there a mystery player they could take at 3 that we're not sure of?
If there was a mystery player that they could take at 3, it probably would be Trey Johnson. Trey Johnson. The thing about him is they say he's the best shot creator in the draft. A lot of people rave over him. But defensively, he's been like a defensive liability. And a lot of that has to do with people think his effort isn't there. So, again, it's kind of like, what he is? He's kind of like a Klay Thompson, so to speak, in my eyes, like a guy who can make shots, but he's not a complete player. So is that someone that you really would love to, make that third pick overall? And like you're shaking your head, no. And I'm with you. So these are the options. So a lot of people think that they're better off just moving back. Now, to me, typically you go into a draft and you say, there's this one guy that if he's there, that they're going to take him. And you can't say that right now just because of, the immaturity things with Ace Bailey, the fact that he, backed out of the workout. And also there are some other concerns. So, he has the biggest upside, but he can also be a bust if it doesn't work out. And there are numerous red flags to whereas you say, you got to be 100% careful if you're going to take this guy. You really do. So those are the question marks right there for the 76ers.
Yeah, you can't miss this pick. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
And Edgecombe seems like, and this isn't he's not all that talented, but he's a safer pick. No, like he has a combination of the talent and also, like, especially playing in a city like Philly, the mentality to thrive in a city like Philly. Everything that you hear and read. I saw his coach was on with Anthony a couple weeks ago at Scott Drew, and he raved about the kid. So, like, all right, so what are you hearing? What is the strategy behind what Ace Bailey is doing right now? And because if he's trying to scare teams off of drafting him, I think it may be working. But what I know you've written about this over the weekend. What is Ace Bailey? What is his team, his agent? What are they doing? What is their ultimate goal by not working out for teams that could possibly draft him?
Well, let's first start out and say that this isn't uncommon. I mean, it isn't. Like a lot of times, I mean, let's go back to Andre Iguodala, who refused to work out for the 76ers. And then right before the draft came up, the 76ers met with him in New York, like right before the draft, the day before the draft or so. And that's when they had a meeting. So this isn't uncommon. Now, typically, sometimes when you hear of guys not working out, it's because they know that there is a preferred destination or there's a team that said, hey, if you are available, we are going to draft you. We're going to take you. So a lot of people think that could happen. But secondly, the agent, from what I heard, sources told me, is that, he wanted a guarantee. Like, if we're going to come out here and work out for you, are you guys guaranteeing us that that you're going to take us? And the 76ers, they can't give a guarantee right now because they don't know what direction they're going to go into. So those are the things where the agent, wants to control what's going on. And then secondly, from another thing I'm hearing is that the agent would love for him to be in the East Coast, anywhere from Atlanta to New York. So when you factor that in, you have the Sixers at number 3, you have the Charlotte Hornets at number 4. Then you have You have the Washington Wizards at number 6, and then you have the Brooklyn Nets at number 8. But the Pelicans, they ain't like if we're talking about East Coast teams, But if we're talking about East Coast teams, but those are landing spots that they feel like they can go to. And also another thing we're talking about it, if you come to Philadelphia, if you come here and they're saying they want to run this thing back and they really want to win, you're looking at Ace Bailey as being a 4th option. Whereas if he goes to Charlotte, if he goes to, Washington or Brooklyn, basically he is a clearer path for him to getting, being more established, maybe being the man. Being in Philadelphia, they're fearful that he'll be Markelle Fultz. He'll be, Shepard from last year with the Houston Rockets.
Right.
So is a lot of things where they're thinking about the guy's long term and what's the best fit for him.
Yeah, I could totally see him sliding. I think he ends up in Washington. Is what I think happens. Yeah. I know Brooklyn's been. It would be a destination. I can't see him sliding all the way to 8. But I guess you never know. Keith, it's weird because I would be, and I get it. The path to stardom. They want to see him. Hey, like, how can he be a star by year 2 or year 3? If he goes to Washington, what's his best chance to me of developing? I don't even necessarily know if it's in Philadelphia, but he doesn't need to start right away and be playing 35 minutes, right? Like where he needs to go is to an organization that knows what the heck they're doing, and to be able to know when to give him more minutes and when to pull back. You put him on a team that's, because he's a high draft pick and he's so talented, you just put him out there and he's scoring empty points because there's nobody else to score, or who knows what else is going on. I mean, I like to see the kid succeed, obviously. And everything you hear is he's maybe a little bit immature, but still a good kid. But you had also written about this over the weekend with Ace Bailey. You had mentioned that, and it's something I talked about last week. He's coming in here to a culture where their best player, their former MVP, Joel Embiid, got called out, according to reports, by Tyrese Maxey being late to everything last year. I mean, is that really where you want to put a kid that's maybe a little bit immature at 18, 19 years old?
You're exactly right. I mean, because you have to consider all that, because, right now, from what I hear, is like, I hear that he's not a bad kid. We're talking about Ace Bailey, right? I hear he's just goofy. That's what the guy explained to me. Like, a guy who, is dancing and drills and stuff like that. That's my song. You're like, no, bro, you don't do that. But if you come to a place and you look at it where, you have Joel, like you just stated, and I wrote about, you got Joel like showing up late. You have Joel saying, hey, I'm not practicing today. The guy's like, oh, okay, this is the norm. It's kind of sort of like, and I don't really blame Joel. I blame the 76ers, because when Joel came here, they treated him, Nerlens Noel, Michael Carter-Williams, as if they were all-stars. And the veterans, they didn't have any veterans telling them you do it a different way, right? So do you really want to bring this guy into this situation or this type of culture? I mean, and if you do bring him in there, like guys like Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and then Kyle Lowry, if he returns, they have to be guys that's like, hey, look, this is what you need to do on and off the court. Because if not, those first 2 years could be crucial for him to develop bad habits and realize that, say to myself, like, hey, I don't have to show up a couple hours before the game. I don't have to be the last one out of the gym. I don't have to practice every day. And if that's what you're going to do, that's a bad draft pick. It's not going to work out. It's not going to work out at all.
What would you, in your opinion, based on what you've heard, what you know, and just your feel for it, what's the most likely scenario when the Sixers are on the clock at 3?
Before this guy missed the last workout, I would have said that it would have been Ace. I mean, and just because I felt like, Paul George and Tyrese Maxey and would have to go above and beyond, but they're good guys, and they would have tried to do that for him. Right now, I don't know. I mean, I just don't, because there's no clear-cut guy. And what I mean by that is, you look at VJ Edgecombe, there's a lot of people, they talk about what a great person he is. They talk about his work ethic. They talk about all those other things. But what is his ceiling? And right now, do you have the player development staff, you have enough faith in them to say, okay, we're going to work on his handle. We're also going to work on his dribbling. You know what I mean? There's a lot of concerns that he has. Now, again, a great person, he works hard, but you have to be 100% confident that you're going to be able to get him to that next level. To me, if you're going to try to win, the best scenario for the 76ers, if you're trying to win now, is to possibly move down and try to nab a guy like Con Knipple. Now, again, he does not have the best upside, and he's probably not going to be a star in this league. But in regards to being a plug-and-play player, he's probably the best fit to be around Maxey, Paul George, and Embiid. But with that being said, the only way that's going to work is if Embiid could come back and be close to the player that you expected, which a lot of people don't think is going to happen, and that Paul George, is better than what he was last year. So with that being said, that's why it's hard to pinpoint what the 76ers are going to do, because, it all depends on Embiid's health. And it all depends on, like, who they feel like has the biggest upside and who could be the best fit. There's a lot of different red flags.
Man, you're right. It's so complex. And I actually do have some confidence in Morey being able to navigate, hey, I can trade back a couple picks and still get a player that we like. Like, they may like player A and player B. Maybe Edgecombe's one player and there's another player, and he feels like he can get another player or a draft pick out of doing that. Maybe I'm the only one, Keith, but anytime I'm looking at this draft, I am so not focused on Joel Embiid when it comes to this draft. I'm looking at this player they're taking as somebody that's like, he's playing and Joel Embiid's long gone.
Yeah.
Right? Like I hope Daryl Morey's not focused too much on next year. And I know he's trying to save his butt because he's on the hot seat, but still, like, I need to make the right move because I feel like, and this is why I like Edgecombe, if he can be one of the culture setters, this team needs a culture, man. They need a winning culture. They don't have a winning culture right now. I think Maxey can be a big part of that. I put a lot of this on the organization and Joel Embiid. I just hope they're not too focused on next year and trying to win.
Yeah, you know what, and the thing is, it's funny because I've been thinking about it, and the best bet is like right now, you have to build for Tyrese Maxey's timeline, not Joel Embiid, not Paul George. I mean, Joel Embiid played in 58 games the last 2 seasons, right? This will be his second. Well, he's had his second left knee surgery in 14 months, third in 9 seasons. Paul George is coming off one of his worst seasons. And, he's a guy who's had prior injuries as well. He had a plethora of them last season, and he's 35. So when you look at that, you say, I got to deal with Tyrese Maxey's timeline. Now, here's the one difficult thing with that. The one thing that will make Daryl Morey say, oh, we got to go all in for this year. With Halliburton going down now, the East, everybody was saying like the East was already wide open. Now with Halliburton down, you look at it where, there's no Tatum, there's no Halliburton now,
Point.
There's and they have injuries in Milwaukee, with Dame Lillard. And the Sixers are saying, man, if we can get somewhat healthy, just somewhat healthy, we could be the team to beat. So Daryl Morey has to think long and hard about, do I build for the future, or do I go with a guy that I feel like is a quick fix who can help this team win? But again, all that stuff is you're still putting all your faith into Joel Embiid, a guy who's only played in 58 games and a guy who hasn't had a completely healthy season since he's been drafted.
Yeah, what they need this year, Keith, and I don't think it's out of the question. They need the AI year where they went to the finals, where AI was an all-time player, but like the practice stuff and whatever. But that 1 year when they tried to trade him, and it had his best year, right? And then it kind of went downhill from there in Philadelphia. If Embiid can play 60 games, 55 games, and this is what everybody says, but if he can have the right mentality this year, this team has the talent. You just said it. The East is wide open. Who are we talking about? The Knicks? All right. The Knicks are a pretty good team. Knicks are a good team. They have some talent. This team's talented too. So they're really not that far off. It's just, but they need something. They need something on this team.
Yeah, but the thing, they need something on this team. And the thing about it is, it's kind of like, yes, it's wide open, but if you miss, you swing and you miss, that's a major miss that's going to set you back even further. Because let's face it, the team that just won the championship is going to get your pick next year. They're expected to get the pick next year. So, it's like this is now or never basically for you. And if I'm the 76ers, that's why it's so hard to decide what they're going to do, because you have to make a great decision for the future. And I know you want to win a championship, but at the same time, with these two guys, you got to build around Tyrese Maxey if you're thinking about the future.
Yep, you sure do. Keith, what do you got cooking this week? 2 days to the draft. Anything up this morning on Inquirer.com?
Well, I'm going to have something tomorrow. I'm going to have something tomorrow, like a lid lifter. And then, I'm going to New York tomorrow. So I'll be there and I'll talk to Ace Bailey. Hopefully we'll figure out, why he decides in his mind why it was, wise for him not to work out for the Sixers, and then talk to VJ Edgecombe and a couple other players. And then, I'll be there to cover the grad.
Looking forward to it, Keith. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Always. Keith Pompey doing a great job covering the draft here for the Philadelphia Inquirer. Pompey on Sixers is how you find him on social media. All right, we'll come back. The parlay of the day is straight ahead. And also, there was some soccer in Philadelphia over the weekend. And it was we have some video from it. Are we ready for the World Cup? It looked pretty awesome. It looked pretty crazy as well. And what else did I have here from the weekend? Oh, well, I have something on Andrew Painter as well. That's all coming up straight ahead. It's Philly with John Marks, PHLY. Don't go anywhere. Why? All right, so let's talk about Rothman Orthopedics. Listen, if you're in pain. So it's Monday morning, right? What were you doing over the weekend? Were you golfing? Were you running? Were you just doing whatever, being active, mowing the lawn, and your shoulder hurts, your elbow hurts, your wrist after playing golf, or just you're out, like, let me go for a jog, right? And then your knee's bothering you. You don't have to live in pain. You do not have to live in pain. Rothman Ortho, I learned that. I was living in pain with my shoulder. I had a frozen shoulder, I found out, a frozen shoulder. But I just had shoulder pain, and it stopped me from doing what I like to do, working out. And it got to a point where I couldn't even reach up in the pantry and grab cereal. I had to get tongs to get it because my range of motion was so bad. Finally, I went to Rothman. One appointment, and bam, they took care of everything, wrote me a script for physical therapy, diagnosed me with frozen shoulder, 6 weeks of physical therapy. Good as new. Been working out ever since. Feeling good. So if you're in pain, Rothman Orthopedics is where you want to go. 30-plus convenient locations. And we're talking about walk-in centers. I've been to the Rothman Urgent Care multiple times over the years between my wife and me up in Limerick. I did my physical therapy up there. Everything you need. RothmanOrtho.com/PHLY. RothmanOrtho.com/PHLY. Hoo-ah. There we go. All right, let's talk about TrueMark Financial for a second. Because, listen, summer's here. And we've talked about the Greenlight app before with my kids. But if you're trying to set your children, your family up for financial success, well, that's awesome. And TrueMark can help you with that with the Greenlight app, right? So listen, there's lots of stuff to do in the summer, including maybe your kids have a summer job. Maybe they're just out doing whatever, babysitting. Well, how about the Greenlight app, right? If you're a TrueMark Financial member, you can get the free Greenlight account for your kids or teens. It's a simple way for them to manage their own money, whether it's a job allowance or birthday cash. So my kids have an allowance. And, it's not much, but it's the stuff that I ask them to do, which is always painful to get them to do it anyway. But still, every Friday they get $5, $7, $8, whatever it is, directly deposited in their account from my savings account for doing their chores. You set that up right there on the app, and it shows them what they need to do. It's so cool, the debit card that's in their name. So you're teaching them financial responsibility with their allowance that they're saving. If they want to make a purchase of something that they want, when mom's birthday comes up and they want to buy something with their money, they get to do it. They can track their spending. That, just like you go to all your different accounts, like I go to my TrueMark online account or the app, they do as well. So head over to TrueMark.com/Greenlight to get all the details and to sign up today. TrueMark.com/Greenlight. Hoo-ah, there we go. We're back. And my camera got all screwed up here. We're back. Philly with John Marks, PHLY. As the finals is over, the OKC Oklahoma City Thunder are your champions. I thought Keith made a really good point, and it's something that I hadn't really thought of because it's fresh from last night. But Halliburton's going to miss next year. Jason Tatum's likely to miss next year. The best team in the East is currently Tyler Zulli, the New York Knicks. Who's the second best team in the East?
It's a good question. I think just depth wise, it's probably still Boston. I mean, you lost your best player, which is critical. But I think with Jaylen Brown, Derek
White's really good. Yep.
But I think they've got enough talent to probably still be up in that consideration. Indiana's not going to go anywhere. I think maybe they'll be. This was an over their head run a little bit, but I think they still should be pretty good even without Halliburton. But they're not going to make a finals run without him. It is going to be fairly open. It's going to be an open East. Yep. Are the Bucks? What happens with Giannis? Don't know.
And Doc.
Yeah, and Doc.
I'll tell you how that works out.
But I think it could very well be a fairly open Eastern Conference next year.
Seriously, it's going to be very open. So, I mean,
you know what? Actually, the answer to that question is probably a healthy Cleveland.
Yes, it absolutely is. Correct.
It's probably a healthy Cleveland.
And they may be the best team in the East.
Right. They could be better than New York. It's certainly possible. Yeah.
Cleveland, New York. I mean, Indiana, Rick Carlisle's a bona fide championship coach. I know Nick Nurse won a championship. It hasn't really, let's face it. Joel Embiid needs to not only be healthy, but he needs to be a different type of a player. He just does. I
think if he plays closer to 2023, 2024 Embiid and plays about that many games, the Sixers should be a playoff team.
They're right there. No, you're right. They're right there. They're right there with a chance to win a series and get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
And the thing is, too, I don't even think this is us talking ourselves into it. Like, it's not like we're sitting here hoping on hope. Like, their roster construction should be set in, because it's going to basically, we've talked about this before, it's going to basically be the same team, with plus whoever they drafted 3. I think I think that they should, a healthy Embiid and a healthy Maxey and a healthy George, like they did miss a lot of man time to injury last year. All of those things, like they should be a postseason team.
They better be. All right, let's get to our BetParx Parlay of the day. All right, Zuli. So what is your record here in the last, we'll say 2 weeks, because you've been unbelievable.
I think I've been with you. So we've had 15 shows in the last 3 days. I think I have been with you for 12 of them, and I am 10-2 in those 12 games. I lost on the last one that we picked was I took Logan Webb over 5.5 strikeouts on Thursday. He had 9. And then on Friday, we didn't do it. But on Friday, I would have taken I forget what I was going to take, but it didn't hit. You know what? I took Matthew Boyd over 17.5 outs, and he got removed after the 5th inning because of an injury.
Another injury. You screwed another pitcher. Good job.
So that was that. So I'm going to go to a guy who's kind of just making his way back from injury. Paul Blackburn is starting for the Mets tonight, and his over-under on BetParx is 17.5 outs. And Paul Blackburn hasn't recorded 18 outs once yet this year. In fact, his longest start was 5 innings, and that was almost 3 weeks ago. He's made 4 appearances, once out of the bullpen and 3 as a starter, and he's only gone into the 5th one time. 17.5 outs against the Braves just seems really, really high. Now, listen, they may just say, hey, we need you to throw innings, but like it seems really, really high to me. I just don't think he's going to pitch 6 innings tonight. I'm going to take the under for Paul Blackburn at minus 124, under 17.5 outs.
I like the Braves money line in that game. They're on the road minus 129.
Yeah, with Spencer Schwellenbach on the mound. Like, this seems like a lopsided pitching matchup, especially against the Mets team that's been pretty faltering over the last couple of weeks.
So the Mets are winning, and Blackburn's going to have a great
he's going to throw 7 shutout innings just because that's how baseball works. Yeah, minus 129 feels kind of light for what appears to be a pretty lopsided pitching matchup.
They're baiting us into it. We took the bait.
Yep.
All right, that's our BetParx Parlay of the day.
And that's why I'm not taking the game. That's why I'm taking the over-under, because 18 just seems way too high.
So maybe the over would have been the play to do. All right, so do you know anything about the soccer that was happening in town this weekend? That's our BetParx Parlay of the day, by the way. Do you know anything about?
So it's the FIFA World Cup is happening right now, and some games are being played in Philly, and it's been really cool. Like there's been some upsets, some teams that you did not expect. Like some of the MLS teams have beaten some of the European teams. There's some clubs that I've never heard of before that are like flocking to American cities, and their fans are unbelievable. This has been a wild couple of weeks of soccer, and I think it's been a lot of fun.
So do the video of I don't even know what fan base this is. Again, I'm so clueless to this stuff, but this is them like kind of marching into Lincoln Financial Field. So there've been games for going on the last 10 days or so. I mean, it feels like it's been over a week. And so so here it is. They're going ole, 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 ole. So you wait till the World Cup happens. All right, now there's another one where it looks like Lincoln Financial Field's on fire. And this is this is, I guess they were lighting off flares. Look at that. Holy crap. So play was stopped for like 20 minutes or so because of this. I mean, that's a little bit too much. Yeah, so soccer season, boys.
These are not those are banned in most stadiums. And fans have found unique ways to bring those flares into the stadiums. I saw somebody sneak it in a hoagie. I saw somebody sneak it in different ways. Like, those are not technically allowed, but they get into every stadium. Yeah, soccer worldwide is nuts, man. Like, the World Cup is going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Well, so hold on a second. I mean, like, doesn't that come up on some type of a? I guess it's not. It's only a metal detector people are going through. So you could. I
guess if it's not if there's no metal in it, maybe not.
Well, I guess you could jock it, right? You could just like put it in your waistband or.
Sure.
I remember when we used to go in the Veterans Stadium, there would always be some type of a booze mule that would tape bottles of booze on their body. And then they would get in the stadium. You would see up in the 700 level, you would see people that were literally like ripping off tape from their body. And then once you get into the stadium, no one cares anymore. It's just a matter of getting through security. So they weren't hiding so everybody's taking booze out of their pants and stuff.
Right.
So that's an Eagle fan. They're trying to sneak in booze, and the soccer fans sneaking in flares.
Yeah. So that the video that we watched was from a club called Wydad Casablanca. And then I last weekend, my wife and I were out in the city with the baby, and we were walking around Old City, and there were a ton of Flamengo fans who I believe played last weekend, or maybe Monday or something like that. But there were a ton of fans over the last couple of weeks from different clubs and different cities from around the world. That this is huge. Like, this is. I wouldn't compare it to the Super Bowl because I don't think the FIFA World Cup is the same as, like, especially for European teams. They think of like the Champions League and things like that as kind of their Super Bowl, if you will. But it's pretty close. I mean, fans flock from hours and hours and hours away from different continents and different cities across the globe to come watch their clubs play, especially if there's an opportunity to play a Premier League team, a La Liga team, to play a BVB, to play, any one of these teams that are, that are insanely high level teams. And like you saw with Wydad Casablanca, like they are here and they are incredible fans. Yeah.
There's probably like a Philly sports trip down in Wydad Casablanca where you have a couple hundred of people. I mean, you would think that that's how they're all here. You have some type of a company that comes up, is like, all right, give us $2,000. You go to, that's awesome. You go to Philly, you get to see your team play. It's a vacation. They light the stadium on fire. It's a lot of fun. It's awesome. So that was pretty interesting. It'd be interesting to see what the World Cup actually looks like when they're here. We'll do this tomorrow because we kind of ran out of time today. If you're watching on TV, slide on over to allphly.com as we're officially in overtime. Hooah. There we go. So Phil's off tonight, so this will be one of these nights where I'm, especially after coming off a good series, where it's like, I don't want a day off, but off today. Houston into this weekend, and then the Padres are in town next week. And my guys, my buddies that do San Diego radio, they're coming in. So I think I'm going to be down at the game on Monday, next Monday, with a couple of Padres fans.
Yeah, you're right. But I know that they played every day this past week with the Marlins and the Mets. They need a day off, but this would be a great day to just keep rolling.
Yeah, let's roll. All right.
They had another good team too, by the way. I mean, June's been a bit of a grind for them. They've played a lot. They've played Toronto twice. They've played the Mets. They're now playing Houston. They've played the Cubs. If they can get out of June, and I don't know what they are in June, like right this second, I would have to find it. If they can get out of June
couple with games over 5,
fairly serviceable record, like that to me is so far in June, they're 11-9. If they can get out of June at 15-12, that's a win.
Sign me up. Yeah. Sign me up. We'll take it. PHLY Phillies show today. Tyler, What do you got?
Yeah, going to talk a lot about Luzardo's start last night, talk about the starting rotation. We will have the conversation about, like, if you were to move one of these guys to the bullpen, who would it be? Bob Cooney at 1:30 to check in on the series recap, and we'll start to think about the Astro series and what the future might hold for the bullpen.
Very cool. And that's 1 o'clock, Ty?
1 o'clock today, yep.
All right, everybody, thank you. Anthony is live right now, so you can slide on over and check him out. We appreciate you. And remember, watch on YouTube, like and subscribe to PHLY. And also, the audio-only podcast of the show is available wherever you get your podcasts. So check it out. We're back tomorrow live at 8 a.m. Have a great day. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.